Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Off the Clock. I'm your host, Sierra Jones. Today, we have a hidden gem for you. We are here in Tuscumbia, Alabama at the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. We're going to be with Victoria Mitchell, who is the museum curator here. We're going to be sitting down with Victoria and she's going to be sharing us information about some of your favorite artists. Without further ado, let's get Victoria off the clock. Welcome. We are here at the Alabama Music Hall of Fame with Victoria Mitchell. She is the museum curator here. Victoria, thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to have you guys. I'm so glad you got to come out to the museum today.
Yeah, so look, before we get into just the wonderful facts about this museum, will you tell us just first about your title? What is a museum curator?
So as a museum curator, my main job is to work with the artists and their estates, and I gather their items and display them for people to come through and see in our museum. And I also tell their story the way they want their story to be told.
Wow, that is amazing. So for those who don't know, we're actually here right now in Tuscumbia, Alabama. And will you just tell us, for those who have never heard of this museum before, will you just start us all the way back from the beginning and tell us just how this museum is here and when did it become a museum?
So we actually are a state-run nonprofit, and Senator Bobby Denton led the legislature for it. The Alabama State Legislature in 1980 voted for us to have an Alabama Music Hall of Fame board. And from that, we started in 1985 to induct inductees, and we actually got the museum built, and opening day was July 26, 1990, so we just celebrated our 34th birthday.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. So will you just talk about just the process of getting an inductee here in the museum?
So to actually get inducted in the museum, you have to have been doing music for around 30 years or so. You have to be internationally known. And the process to actually get someone inducted, the public can actually do the nominations for that. So you can get on our website, you go to our About section, you'll go to nominations, and if you know someone that you think deserves to be one of our inductees, then you can actually nominate them there.
Wow, that is really neat. I hope you guys heard that. And we will have that QR code as well for you, so you can scan that and actually induct someone into the Hall of Fame. So let's go back. So you said the museum started in 1990. That was right? July
26, 1990.
Okay, July 26, 1990. So, of course, you weren't here then, right?
No.
Okay. But will you just talk to us just about the opening with that, the first few years? What was that like? What is the process like to get some of these equipment? Like, there's different things here, not just pictures. You have just different materials as well. So will you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So when we first opened, we had already started inducting people in 1985 is when we started our first inductions.
Okay.
And so we had started to gather a collection of artifacts from different stars. And what we get usually with those artifacts are costumes and outfits. We get instruments, even handwritten lyrical sheets, because we don't just do musicians. We do people all in the music industry, whether it be the songwriters themselves or people on the business aspect side of it. We're very encompassing of a museum, and we try to cover all genres as well.
Wow. And can you talk a little bit more just about the artifacts? Can you talk more about what exact artifacts are in this museum?
Oh, so some great artifact examples would be, so the big one that everybody always gets excited about, the band Alabama. Their very first tour bus, we do have that. It is the staple of our museum. People can come through, they can tour it and see how people lived on the road at that time. And we do have a Pontiac Bonneville. It is gold in color, and that is a popular one because it is decked out. I won't ruin the surprise for you, but let me just say it is decked out. Some other things, we recently actually got a sequin jacket from Lionel Richie. He sent us a sequin jacket, and it's a red sequin jacket. It says All Night Long. We've got W.C. Handy's trumpet. We just have so many artifacts. We have a lot of original handwritten lyrics where you can actually see what they intended for it to be before they scratched it out and wrote something new.
That is so neat.
There's so much to see here.
If you can share, what is the process like for you to get those artifacts? Like, do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you? How does that process like?
So everything is donation based here. We don't pay
Okay.
for anything. Everything is donation based. Like I said, we're a state-run nonprofit, and luckily our artists love working with us. And they often send us stuff. We do trade outs on the items. We try to update our exhibits as often as we can. And so sometimes they'll get an item back and send us a different item to display. And so usually it's them coming to us and giving us an item. But of course, when we induct someone, we always, ask if they would like something to be displayed in the museum.
Right. So I was about to ask, that was going to be my next question. Do you have to get a certain permission about, let's say, Lionel Richie wants to give you more than just a jacket? Do you have to get permission of what can be displayed? Is there certain restrictions on that, or is it just kind of depend on the artist?
Luckily, it just really depends on what the artist wants to display.
Okay.
Everything that we've ever received is just really great quality things to museum quality to display. I mean, we're very lucky to have the collection we have. I mean, one of our best items that a lot of people don't know we have the original contract where Sam Phillips sold Elvis Presley's contract to RCA for $35,000. We actually have that with Elvis's signatures on it, with Sam Phillips' signatures. We have a lot.
That is so neat. And will you talk a little bit more in depth just about, because we're here in Tuscumbia, and some people watching right now is probably like, why is this museum here in Tuscumbia? Can you share a little history behind with the location of this museum?
Absolutely. So Tuscumbia is part of the Greater Shoals area. It's the Quad Cities, and it's often colloquially known as the Shoals. And with the museum being here, it was an area of land that was given to us to build the museum on, and it's close to a lot of our inductees. And it's a really great location. We have a lot of land and a lot of room to work with.
Yeah. If you can share, do you think in the future you guys will expand? You guys do have a lot of land. When you guys come visit, because hopefully you'll be visiting soon, there is a lot of land on this museum. So do you foresee in the future the museum growing, using more of the land out here, if you can share?
We would love to grow the museum. We would love to, expand our concert outreach, work with, make our area bigger and more attractions. We would love to do that in the future.
And do you have concerts here as well? Is that something that you guys have?
We absolutely do. We do host concerts here. Right now our stage is being worked on to make it bigger and better, so that way we can do bigger concerts in the future. But we do still have concerts here in the Hall of Fame. We had one recently for 50 years of the song Sweet Home Alabama.
Wow. And is it local artists reaching out to you guys? Are you reaching out to them for these concerts? How does that work?
We do get a lot of local artists that we have that come perform. They usually ask us. Sometimes we get some people, but we try to keep everything with somebody from Alabama. We try to keep the spirit of Alabama music in our museum.
Wow, that is so neat. So before we go on break, I'm going to switch it back on you. You didn't answer this part. So why did you want to become a museum curator? What was the passion behind it?
I love history. I love history. Music has always been my passion ever since I was 14 years old, and going to concerts and taking money at venues. Music's ran through my family. My grandfather played guitar, and music and history just combining together to make me a museum curator over here was just the perfect match for me.
That is awesome. It's a joy. I feel like I'm sitting next to someone. You just have so much knowledge, and I can tell when you talk about it, your smile gets bigger on your face. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I know you guys see some of the artists behind us. When we come back from the break, Victoria's going to tell us in depth about these persons and more about this museum. We'll be right back.
The greatest asset we have is our employees.
I'm very excited to welcome you to our new corporate website.
The National Space Club was founded as the National Rocket Club in 1957.
In North Alabama, we are extremely blessed.
Truth Home will test your theory in everything, the good things and the bad things. In everything, give him thanks.
Why choose is our goal. And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain?
Welcome back. We are at the Alabama Music Hall of Fame with Victoria Mitchell, the museum curator. So you guys see around us, we have some beautiful artists up on the wall. Will you tell us about some of these artists that are on the wall?
I would love to. So I have a lot of artists on our wall. You'll see here, this is not all of my inductees. I actually have quite a few inductees. Just a few to name. One of my favorite ones, I always like to start at the top, is of course the Commodores. So the Commodores are originally from Tuskegee. They met in Tuskegee. And they actually got their start touring with Motown. And when they started touring, they were actually the openers for the Jackson 5.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they were the openers for the Jackson 5. And one of the members of the Commodores is the only person in the Alabama Music Hall of Fame to be inducted twice. And that guy's name is Lionel Richie. I think he's a big fan favorite for everyone. Even the kids come in and know him when we have the field trips. The kids do come in and they're like, that's the guy on American Idol. But there's tons of people in here and we try to cover all genres. Like Hank Williams Sr. is one of the great examples. We're lucky enough to have 1 in 4 suits in existence that Hank Williams Sr. wore on stage. We do have several other people. Of course, you can't miss our Muscle Shoals greats, like, of course, Rick Hall that started Fame Studios and the Muscle Shoals rhythm sections that started Muscle Shoals Sound Studios. And we've got some music royalty in here as well. And by that, I mean we do have the guy that is known as the father of the blues. His name is W.C. Handy.
Yeah.
And W.C. Handy is often thought of as Memphis and Beale Street, but he was actually born just right down the road in Florence, Alabama.
Wow.
And another person that you may associate with Memphis, who's also a member of music royalty, is of course Sam Phillips. He's known as the father of rock and roll. And that's because he recorded the very first rock and roll song called Rocket 88 by Ike Turner. And he was also born in Florence. So we have a lot of different people, several people from all over the states. A big fan favorite, of course, The Temptations, Eddie Kendricks and Dennis Edwards, of course, being from the Birmingham area. We've got Emmylou Harris. And, you know, everyone loves the band Alabama.
Yeah,
They're from Fort Payne. They're from Fort Payne. And, of course, the First Lady of Country, Tammy Wynette, and Percy Sledge. Everybody knows the song, When a Man Loves a Woman.
Yes, of course.
And one of my favorite artists, but don't tell the other artist I said so.
I won't. It's our secret.
That's Clarence Carter. So Clarence Carter, he was actually blind from birth. And he was one of the first members of the Fame Gang when the Fame Gang was formed. And Clarence Carter is one of my favorite members. You may know him from the songs Patches and Strokin'. And of course, another fan favorite would be Jim Neighbors. Jim Neighbors is from Sylacauga, Alabama. You may know him from the Andy Griffith Show as Gomer Pyle and the television show Gomer Pyle MC. And like I said, he's a Sylacauga, Alabama native. We try to cover the entire state of Alabama and the rich musical history and heritage that we have here.
Okay, so everyone on this wall right here are inductees, but you have some that are achievers, like you just said, correct?
Absolutely. So we have over 1,000 people featured in the museum.
Oh, wow.
So Alabama is so rich in talent and history. And we're such a young museum by, you know, only 34 years old and doing inductions around every 2 years. So there's still lots of people to induct. So some people already got their Music Achiever certificates and some people are inductees, but there is a lot of different ways to find yourself in the Alabama Music Hall of Fame.
And can you tell us about the artist, the one who painted these paintings a little bit, or his name or who he is or where we can find him?
So Ronald McDowell was actually the artist that painted these. He was an art instructor at Tuskegee University, and every single one of the portraits that you do see here, he actually hand painted those.
Wow, that is incredible. They are absolutely beautiful. You guys got to come here and see it. So when we walk in, there are some stars that I noticed. Can you talk a little bit more about those stars and just what they are?
Music Fame Walkway is very popular attraction. In fact, it's one of the first things, like you said, when you come in. It's our big eye catcher. We're still consistently always putting down new stars, so you can come in here and see some of your favorites. It's just one of the great things that you get to see when you come in here. It really makes you feel how important these people are, because they are. And we love to share their legacy.
Yeah, it definitely catches your eye when you walk in. So when you walk in, you see the stars, and you come around and you see this beautiful wall of inductees, and then you go around the back. Will you kind of talk a little bit about what people see when they come around the corner? It's in the showcases a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. So when you first come around the corner, out of this room, straight into the museum, one of the first things that will catch your eye, we have these plaster casts of Hank Williams Jr., Lionel Richie, and the band Alabama. They actually came and got their bodies covered in the plaster. And a fun fact, the plaster took around 3 days to dry. So that's one of the first things you'll see here. Now keep in mind, we did that in 1990, so if they look a little different, I don't know about you, but I've gained a little weight since 1990, and they may have too. I'm just kidding.
That is awesome. That is so cool. Well, also, real quick, so as you see the first inductee, can you tell us when that was by chance, the date?
It was in 1985.
Okay.
Yeah. Our first round of inductees was in 1985.
Okay. And then now the newest would have been last year in 2023, correct?
Absolutely.
Can you share who was inducted in 2023?
Absolutely. So inducted in 2023, our newest inductees are Jenny Pruitt, Three on a String, Jim McBride, LeBlanc and Carr, Dr. Henry Panion III, and of course we have Earl Peanut Montgomery.
Wow, you are impressive, Victoria. I could not have all this information in my head. It's so impressive. So look, we're going to be right back to here about information about some private events here, and also just some fun facts about Victoria.
The Housing Authority's Child Care Development Program was created to expand child care opportunities in the city. This program also provided opportunities for people who typically would not have access to expand their education and start their own businesses as well. The students enrolled in the Child Care Short Certificate at Drake State are taking this as a prerequisite to get their CDA, which is a national certification in child care. They also have access to small business classes with the Catalyst Center and a small business boot camp as well with C&I Solutions.
Welcome back. We are here at the Alabama Music Hall of Fame with Victoria Mitchell. She is the museum curator. So we've talked a lot about the wonderful music artists here and all the above, but let's bring it back to you because this is off the clock. So when you're not just history with music and doing what you do, what do you like to do for fun?
So for fun, I'm still music oriented.
Okay.
Music's my passion, it's my life. I go to a lot of concerts.
Okay.
I travel a lot. I love to travel. I actually just got back from DC. I try to go to as many places as I can, and when I do, I usually try to grab a local concert there or go to the museums there just to see the different ideas and offerings that other people have, because I try to incorporate as much into our museum and make it as modern as I can.
That's cool. So you also like to learn what others do maybe to bring back ideas for here, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, music's my passion, so I'm here. If you come to a local show, whether it be in Huntsville, whether it be in the Shoals in Birmingham, I try to go to as many as I can. I love going to concerts, and it's one of the great ways that you can support your local friends, the local people around you, is just going to attend a concert, and it's probably my favorite thing to do on the weekends.
That's really cool. So I'm just curious because I really am impressed by just the amount of information that you know. So like back in high school and college, did you, like, was history just your love? Like, is that your favorite subject? Like, how did you just be fond of history with music?
Absolutely. History's always been kind of the subject that I've always gone to back to and learned the most from. And then with music itself, my grandfather, like I said, he played guitar, and he played guitar with Johnny Cash a little bit.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's in my blood, really. Music history is, and music was always my favorite subject, so.
When you were younger, if you look at yourself now, did you think you'd be a museum curator?
It was always a goal that I thought I wanted to do, but I did not think it was attainable. I did not think it was achievable, and I just want people to know that, you know, whatever you want to do when you grow up, you can do it. You just have to work at it and have a passion for it. Having a passion for something like history and music for me has taken me here and has shown me so many different things, opened an opportunity for traveling and just furthering my education and learning. So, you know, if there's a passion, don't think just because, you know, just because people tell you, oh, you can't be a museum curator or you can't be a famous singer. I mean, all of these people do it. You can do it too. Somebody has to do it, so it might as well be you.
Why not you? I love that. That's awesome. But what about you? One, that's powerful what you just said. So I want to dive a little bit deeper. So going back to, let's say, going back to high school.
Yeah.
And let's say there's someone right now in high school watching. What advice would you give them if they're like, I love music, I love history, I might not be able to play, but I would love to be like Victoria. What advice would you give them? And then also, what's something that is challenging about your job?
So the advice that I would give, I was in band, and I was a band nerd, and I learned a lot from that. But I would say further your education, continue to seek those educational pathways, like to become a museum curator, go and, you know, get your history, learn it. I know people are so afraid of degrees in humanities and in the arts and things, but there are opportunities out there. Now that is one of the challenges, you know, finding the right fit for you, but there are so many different options. Working in the museum, you don't have to just be a museum curator. You could be a curatorial assistant, you could be in marketing in a museum, you could be a gift shop manager. There's just so many different layers of options throughout, and there's just so many opportunities that people don't realize are out there. And just keep going, keep pushing, and do it for yourself. Do what you're passionate about.
I love that. As you said, why not you, right?
Exactly.
Well, look, let's get us back into the museum. So tell us, if you can, what are some things coming to this museum this year, even next year?
Okay, so I'm really excited. If anyone comes through the museum right now, they'll see that we currently have an area that's under construction. Now, between you and I, it is going to be a hip-hop exhibit. We're so excited. Yes, we're so excited to expand our Alabama hip-hop exhibit. And I'm very lucky to be working with some great people on that, like Cody Gopher out of Huntsville and Jeffrey G. Main Robinson. They are helping me curate that exhibit and working with me to ensure that I get some really great items. And I've got some great people coming up, and I won't spoil it, but you'll have to come see it. You'll have to come see it.
Do you have an idea or a time frame of when the exhibit will be ready to be seen, or is that you can't share that information?
Well, right now we're working on making it as perfect as we can. We want to present it in the best way, and we don't want to give you something half finished.
Right.
So perfection takes time, as we all know. And so it'll be just a little bit longer as we're working on it, but we want to make sure it's a great exhibit. I mean, we've been celebrating this year 50 years of hip hop. It's such a big, momentous occasion that we want to make sure that our hip hop exhibit for Alabama just encases some of our greatest artists.
Wow, that's incredible. We're going to have to stay tuned on social media and catch the website to know when this exhibit opens up.
Absolutely.
And will you also share just about private events? Do you guys have them? Will you allow them? Tell us more about that.
We do. We actually host a lot of private corporate events. We also do guided tours. Just call ahead and we'll make sure we can take care of your group. We host a lot of church groups. We host, like I said, corporate events. We host small businesses. We even hosted some teachers coming through for a teacher work day. It was really awesome. And Our biggest thing is probably field trips.
Give us some details about that.
So my biggest thing is inspiring the next generation.
Yeah.
Because all of these people on these walls, they started out living in Alabama too. They came from here. And so they came on the wall, you know, they didn't just get on the walls by not working hard in music.
True.
So these kids coming in and seeing the inspiration that all of these people are, knowing that these people are larger than life, they can do it too. You know, the kids are the future of music.
Right.
So when they come in, what we offer for our field trips is we actually come in, we talk to them about music history, we let them do either a trivia hunt or a scavenger hunt, depending on the age groups. And then our best thing that we do, of course, besides looking at all the artifacts in the museum, is they get the opportunity to be a star. Yeah, we record them in our little recording booth back there, and anybody can come in and record with us. We just ask that you call ahead just so we make sure we have the right amount of staff so we can record anyone's song. But if you have a song that you'd like to come in and sing, you can be a star too and record in a recording booth with us at the Alabama Music Hall of Fame.
Do they have a certain time frame that they can do that, or how does that work?
So it's really with our opening hours, as long as they call ahead. That way, like I said, we can ensure that we have everyone here and someone's able to run the recording booth. Our opening hours are Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay.
From Tuesday to Friday, it is 10 to 5, and on Saturday, it's 10 to 4.
Okay. Do you guys ever allow, so let's say a private event wants to come, but they want to come at like 6. Do you guys allow later hours? How does that work?
We do. We often actually do dinner tours, and we'll have usually a musician working with us, usually a songwriter.
Wow.
And we'll have a dinner catered, and we'll do private tours in the evening. And sometimes we have those on the days that we're closed, like Sunday or Monday. But we do get a lot of private events after hours. It's kind of a fun thing, and then we host a lot of events ourselves.
Wow, that's incredible. Have you ever had a birthday party here before?
Well, we try not to do birthday parties. We try to stay within the
birthday parties.
We try to stay in the corporate events.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. Well, Victoria, I know I have enjoyed my time with you, and I know those watching have learned so much about the museum, and also your passion for what you do is it comes off really strong, and it's awesome to see that. And I'm sure it's also inspiring others who are watching too, and they're probably looking up on Google, what's a museum curator now? So thank you so much. So for those who want more information about the Alabama Music Hall of Fame, you can click on that QR code. You can go ahead and induct someone for the 2025. And also if you want to get more information about a private event, and there's also a Facebook page, right? Can you tell us the title of that Facebook page?
It's Alabama Music Hall of Fame.
All right, you heard it from Victoria. Well, thank you so much again, Victoria, and join us next week to see who's off the clock.